Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the April 21st Al-Anon readings in Courage to Change and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I will take a moment to look this over. The question is, what do I need help with today? Whom am I willing to ask for help? The passage begins with this person saying that accepting help has always been a challenge. They see it as a form of weakness, and that they feel guilt and an intense need to repay any assistance immediately. They sometimes even thought that people who were willing to help had other motives. Now that they're in Al-Anon, they have an opportunity to accept help with no strings attached. And when this person accepted the help, they found that the more they did it, the easier it was. And it has helped them heal. Today's reminder: we give and receive help as part of the ebb and flow of life. The quote is from In All Our Affairs. We receive healing love in Al-Anon, and that helps us to love ourselves. What do I need help with today, and whom am I willing to ask for help? What do I need help with today? Today is a very light and happy day. But I can think of lots of ways that I've asked for help, like throughout the week, not specifically today. I called a company that I do business with, and I had a question for them, so I asked them for help. I asked my partner for his advice on a couple of different things earlier this week. Whom am I willing to ask for help? I think it's easier for me to ask for help people that I am either paying for a service from, or people that I am very close with. It's easier for me to ask for help from them, like mostly my partner. But this part where it says, I feel an intense need to repay any assistance immediately, I get that. That is me. That is me. That is the perfect description of how I feel. I never want anyone to feel like our relationship is unbalanced. I never want people to feel like I'm taking advantage of them. And therefore, whenever someone helps me, I feel like I need to make sure that I somehow repay them. And it feels to me like an issue with worthiness is what it feels like. It feels like somehow I don't feel worthy of the help, and that's why it's so uncomfortable for me to accept it without immediately somehow repaying it to make it balanced. And when I say it out loud, and even when I think it in my head, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel comfortable. It's funny that this is coming up because I realized, see, I can talk about it now without crying. And look, I'm even smiling. But when I think of the person who I've been grieving, when I wrote that letter to him at my sponsor's suggestion, I realized that indeed our relationship had been quite unbalanced, with him giving so much more to me than I gave to him. Um, or at least that's the way it seemed. Maybe I gave him something that I wasn't aware of, like making him feel welcome in my family and things like that. Like I can see how that has value. But he was, he did so many nice things for me that I could not have done the same for him based on the things that he did for me, if that makes sense. So, I think it does make sense because that's how relationships work. Like he had certain strengths and I have, completely different strengths. So we help each other in the way that we can. I don't just mean him. I mean, like with anybody, I think that's how it works. Like I have things that come easy to me just based on my experiences or knowledge that I have or whatever. So I could help someone do something that they may find very, very difficult. That used to happen when I was teaching all the time with colleagues. Just because I had already done something, it would have taken them hours, days to figure out. But I had already been through that. So I would help them in less than 10 minutes, and they were so grateful. And that always felt so good. And there were times when people would, give me cards or flowers or other sweet gifts, and it was completely unnecessary. I was just happy to help. See, this is good that I'm talking about this because I'm realizing that it feels good to help and that people who help don't necessarily want any kind of repayment because just the joy of helping is good enough. Hmm, interesting. Moving on. Take a moment to look this over. Ah, beautiful. This is about unity, unity in diversity. It talks about tradition 4 and that how each group is autonomous, free to conduct meetings in a way that suits its member as long as it follows the traditions and doesn't harm the overall unity of Al-Anon. So this person is talking about going to another meeting and having the format be a little bit different and feeling uncomfortable with it. But then the person says, well, who's to say that my way is the right way? So when they keep an open mind, they find that the principles of the meeting are exactly the same, no matter what format is used. It says, in Al-Anon, with a solid foundation of love and support, our individual differences make us richer. Today's reminder, all things are beautiful. We can pray for help in dealing with our own rigidity so that we can see the beauty of unity in diversity. That's beautiful. The quote is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I love the word hobgoblin. So it's saying that consistency can be foolish. Of course, it depends and I'm paraphrasing, but of course it depends. Like there's some things where consistency is really, really good. Like that's one of the reasons why I love Al-Anon, is because of the consistency, the stability, the safety. But to me, consistency equals safety and stability. But I guess taken to different levels or put in different circumstances, consistency can seem rigid and can seem stubborn, and it can lead to lack of an open mind. So this is a really good reminder of that. I think this all the time. Like, why should I assume that the way I'm thinking is correct or that I have all the information? I think that's a level of humility, but also it's a tiny bit a worthiness thing or a lack of self-esteem. Because, and I guess, it's good to have humility, but not for me, not at the level of feeling less than somebody else. And I don't think that I feel less than somebody else, but I do think that there's a really good possibility that I don't know all the information. Because a lot of times, and I've talked about this within the last several weeks, but I think, or maybe months, but like the older I get, the more I realize how much I don't know. There's just so much information, and there are so many details in every topic. There are so many different details, I can't think of any other way to say it, that there's just no way that any one person knows everything about everything. It's just absolutely impossible. I may be an expert in one small little sliver in an area, a little tiny area, but there's no way that I can be an expert in everything. So I feel like that is not worthiness. That is humility. That is being reasonable, I think, is knowing my own limitations in a way that, like, if I want to know all the information, I can spend the time and find out. But as I sit here in front of you right now, there's a whole heck of a lot I don't know. And I just think it's like smart to understand that, because one thing that drives me nuts is people who are super confident and have no idea what they're talking about. And they just feel like they talk like they're the expert, and they're not. So it's just something that I'm really aware of, and I'm just thinking of, and I don't even think I've seen the movie, this is so random, but I was just thinking, I think it's The Big Lebowski, maybe, where the guy goes, that one of the characters, I think it's Jeff Bridges, says, well, like, that's just like your opinion, man. I probably didn't get that right at all, but it came into my head because it's like a lot of how I feel is based on my own experiences, my little bit of knowledge that I may have, and it may not match someone else's experience with the same thing. So I don't know. It's just a really good reminder for me to just like take it easy, take a breath. Like when I start feeling really, really, really strongly about something, and there are things that I feel very, 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 very strongly about, like no one's going to change my mind ever. But there are small, very small amount of those things. And also, as soon as I said it in my head, I was thinking, well, that's not true. Like if I found out more information, I might change my mind. I might change my mind. But as it sits today, like there are some things that, like in order to talk about, I have to take a deep breath because I feel really strongly about them. But I guess that's all part of being a human being and being imperfect and just doing the best I can every day and trying to be open-minded and have humility, and that's all. That's all. We'll close out with the serenity prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.